Unconditional love.
What? You condition to you live in very difficult. That's beside the so which one is actually has like a
we put all the way down this time or what?
no.
I have one.
Don't want to know.
Are you playing Marshall?
Yeah. Jeanette? Yeah.
He moved me. Blame him.
I have to make up.
I think it's just like how we attribute him last time.
Oh, okay.
No. I was, yeah.
Our Maryland.
I know a lot of people went to that. I met
yeah, I love that picture of him dressed as like
No,
something. I actually met the mayor.
I love everything.
And he's like, oh, you're so cute. How old are you? I'm like, I'm 22. He's like, what? He's like,
Hey, where's the phone?
he thought I was like 15, 16.
Hello, Mary.
I don't know. I appreciate this one.
Yeah.
Hello, young lady. How are you?
Cross-playing is not fun. I was killing myself. That was like great.
Okay, have fun. Kelly's like, it's so easy. Nothing really concerns the first time. Sorry, what's your name?
It's supposed to come 11:30.
The first day it like didn't show up at all, so that's why.
Oh, okay. So that's what the guest here.
Yeah.
So you're all here now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Unless someone missed
Good afternoon, everyone. So on Monday, definitely we're gonna be doing an exercise. So be here, and we're gonna stick pretty much. If there's a change, then well, you're gonna know about the change. But we're gonna stick pretty much with the schedule of the exercises here. Yeah, I just realized X can also be short for exam. So, but this is exercise. Okay, so we're gonna try to follow that. So we started with our simple keyword search, one word search, and now we're gonna start with searching using phrases. And you all know what the phrase is. It's like this, 2 words. At least 2 words or more is a phrase. And so if you just search for smallpox, it's going to give you so many thousands of hits, but you're really just interested in smallpox vaccine. And so by using a phrase, you actually reduce the number of results that you will get from your query. And when doing a phrase search, you can also use these Boolean operators or propositions and or not. So forget this line here. And again, you can also do nesting by using parentheses. And so again, if you use parentheses, take note of how your search strategy and really your search desire will change. And so if it says head injuries and football, it seems like there's a imaginary parenthesis here, and then or boxing. So these terms here, then or boxing. Now, if you put the parenthesis here, it's gonna be, and if you stated it this way, it's gonna be head injuries and football, or head injuries and boxing. Okay, so take note of how the search string will actually change when you use depending on where you put the parentheses. So the Boolean operators, and so of course, you know what this really means. If you use and, that means you want the two terms to be present. They don't necessarily need to be one after another in a phrase. So cancer can be in one part of the document and virus can be in another part, and they may not have anything to do with each other, but they're both found in the publication. So that publication will come out in your search results. Or that means only one of the terms need to be there. And if you want to search about cancer and have nothing to do about virus, then you can use the word not. Okay. However, you need to be cautious because you might be interested in cancer and virus is just somewhere else in the publication and nothing to do much with your cancer. But because virus is also there, then that publication will not come out in your result. So really, you rarely use the word, the Boolean operator. Okay. So to play it safe, just don't use it. Okay, so if you type of several words in PubMed, it's actually the default way it would search is it would try to find all the words. Okay, so it's like there's an end there, second and hand and smoke. It doesn't have, the three words don't have to form a phrase. They don't have to be right after another, okay? So again, second can be in one part of the document, hand can be another part, and smoke can be, again, in a third different part, and that publication will come out in your search, okay? So we're gonna talk about later on how to limit your search. And it used to be that and the Boolean operators need to be in capital letters, but that has changed. It does not have to be in capital letters, but again, to play it safe, because sometimes it can, again, mess up your search, just put it in capital letters, okay? And actually, the other database that we're gonna be using later on requires that they be in capital letters. So just use capital letters. And so now a phrase using quotation mark. So what if you use a quotation mark is PubMed will search for the phrase. Okay, so that means the two words will be right after each other in that order. Smallpox vaccine. So that means it will not search for vaccine, smallpox, and all that. So, and again, it is recommended that you search the terms first with no quotation marks. Okay. But if you have so many hits, okay, you get so many hits, and you're really just interested with, because again, when you search for smallpox vaccine, again, smallpox can be in one part of the document, vaccine can be in another part. They may not have anything to do with smallpox vaccine at all. For example, the paper might be talking about polio vaccine, and smallpox was just mentioned somewhere else in the paper. So the paper really has nothing to do with smallpox vaccine. But that paper will come out in your result when you type just smallpox vaccine without the quotation marks. Now, if you put quotation mark, take note here as to the number of the search results. So from 4,600, there's now only 3,970. Okay, because it's looking for the phrase in the exact same order of the words. Okay. And again, when you're doing your search, if it makes sense for the words to be together as a phrase, okay, then you can put a quotation mark. Okay. But there's also a limitation to that, because there are some, there's a limitation to that also. So when you do a simple keyword query, then you usually get a lot of results, and a lot of them will be false hit for some of the reasons that I will be mentioning later. And some results may barely mention your terms, just like the example that I mentioned, where it's actually talking about, that's just a different example. But some of the results may barely mention the terms that you're searching for. Okay, so okay. And so simple searching, simple keyword search is not always the best way to search. And some of the examples why keyword searchers are not always the best is because they ignore negating expressions. We're going to see examples of this later on. And all the words are treated equally. And it also ignores ambiguities. And let's just move on to examples. So for example, in one publication, so you're searching, you're interested with the papers on cardiac rehabilitation. And one of the articles, one of the results that came out was this, and just because it mentioned except those undergoing cardiac rehabilitation. So the paper has nothing to do really with cardiac rehabilitation, but because the terms were mentioned, then it came out in your results. And a lot of the results that we'll get would be like that, but not except, okay. And treating every term equally. For example, this neurosurgeon is interested on young and brain. Okay. Young can be treated, can actually be a last name. Okay. So any paper where Young is an author will come out in the results. Okay. And in this particular example too, the main article is the article is actually on Alzheimer's. So the topic is really it will talk more about old brain, but because the phrase young brain was mentioned, then again, that's gonna come out in your results. Okay. So maybe this is exactly what you wanted, focusing on surgical techniques for a young person's brain. Ambiguity, what does ambiguity mean? It is when you have homonyms. So homonyms are words with different meanings, with multiple meanings. Example here are dressing. Okay. So when you search for dressing, it could refer to the bandage and wounds, putting clothes on, or what? Bacterial contamination in salad dressing, food poisoning from salad dressing, right? Is another homonym of dressing. And hearing, for example, your ears, auditory function, but it can also refer to a judicial hearing or a congressional hearing. And AIDS, again, that could refer to your acquired immune deficiency syndrome, but it can also be hearing aids or visual aids. So yeah, if you, for example, do a PubMed search, and you do AIDS, and you don't have any other qualifier, right? Yeah, this is where you're gonna encounter different homonyms. Okay. And I'm gonna show you right now a filter. We just want AIDS to be in the title. So yeah, like this one, like we're interested with AIDS as in the human immunodeficiency virus caused AIDS. And we pull up articles on hearing aids. Here's one which is really on HIV and AIDS. And AIDS as in helping, right? Okay. So we need more than simple keyword searches. And so that brings us to our next lecture. And on this lecture, we're gonna move on now to advanced searching. Okay. And yeah, as mentioned in the earlier slide also, there are 3 types of searching that can be done on PubMed, and we talk mostly about keyword. Today we're going to talk about advanced and a little bit on mesh, and later on we're going to be focusing on mesh. And so yeah, if you've got tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of results, a way to reduce the number of results to something that you're more interested in, that's more relevant to your topic of interest, is by doing advanced search or using mesh subject headings. And so in advanced search, we use filters. Okay. Filter is you remove those that you do not want, right? When you filter things, you remove those that which you do not want, and you're only left with the part that you want. That's what you do filtration for. And so yeah, so to limit the output that you want. And so some of the filters that are in PubMed can be found on the left side. So your text availability, publication dates, and this can really be considered the fields, but under it are the filters. Like you want to limit your search to humans, for example, or publications that are 5 years or later. And there's also, as I mentioned, there's also free full text, so you can specify that filter. So for example, in this example here, find articles on practice guidelines for smallpox that are written in English in the last 10 years. So the major topic that you're interested in is smallpox, right? So what kind of filters can you apply? Okay. So move on to the next slide, and okay, let's just do smallpox here. And you can do it with me to practice. And so article types. Practice guideline is an article type, and look here on the left side. You don't see practice guidelines as a filter on the left side. So where is it hiding then? It's hiding here in the customize. Okay, so when it's not there, you want it to show up, or you want to see what other filters you can apply, just click on customize. Here, there's also custom range. Here, show additional filters. Okay. And so if you click on customize here, and then it shows the other article types. And there are many. And what is it? What kind of article is it again? Practice guidelines. Practice guidelines. Where is the practice guidelines? Okay, and we're gonna make it show. And you see the practice guidelines there now. One thing to remember though, just because it's there doesn't mean the filter is being applied. You have to click on it to make sure that it's got a check mark. Okay, so the filters that are being applied, that are in effect, would have a check mark. So practice guidelines that are written in English, and English is a language. And again, if you look at the filters on the left here, you don't see language. Okay, so that means it's hiding somewhere again. So you just click on that show additional filters, and it's right there. So familiarize yourself with the additional filters that are here. Like if you want to limit your search to male or female, okay, or ages, for example, age is also age of the like 65 or older, 18 or younger. Okay, if you want to make those show, then you just click on it. Language it should be in English, so we really want language to show, and it does show now the language and the ages. And again, you can customize the language if you don't see the language that you want here. So again, we have to make sure that we check the English language, we apply the filter, and then the publication dates, the last 10 years. And so that would be this. Okay. And again, you can also specify the range. Okay. And it changed from the one that is on here. So again, they keep updating this. Okay. Okay, so how exactly does PubMed search? First, PubMed does indexing. Pretty much indexing again is a form of compilation of compiling things according to some level of relatedness. Okay. And in PubMed, that first level of relatedness is if certain topics can be lumped under the same medical subject heading. So that's the first way that PubMed does it. And these medical subject headings are just standardized phrases that are specific to health sciences. And as I mentioned before, if the results that will come out if you do mesh search would be the publications that you have in Medline. And so, for example, this is smallpox again. And how do you find out if a certain publication is indexed under a mesh term, a medical subject heading? Let's clear all our filters here. And you can see it here. Let's see. To be able to find that out, you have to set your format, result format, to abstract instead of summary. Okay. So from here again, summary to abstract. And again, this one says publication type, it says mesh terms. So that means these two are indexed under the medical subject headings. Okay. And you're gonna see more as to under what subject headings this particular publication was indexed under. Okay, let's clear all the filters so you can see some examples where there are not mesh terms. Okay, so this is an abstract. It doesn't show the mesh term there, not like in the previous two that I showed you. So there's some here. This one does show that it's indexed under a medical subject heading. And again, to find out what terms, what mesh headings they are indexed under, it's indexed under those. Okay, so we already did that. So when I pointed this out, and when you press on that plus sign. So why do we want to know if certain publications are indexed under mesh terms? And again, that tells us that those publications are available in Medline. And what's good again about Medline is it's high quality publications that are found in Medline. Again, whereas PubMed has some publications that are still in the process of being evaluated, or some journals that are not necessarily of high quality. But if you don't know anything about mesh, at least let's pretend we're not going to learn about mesh. Can you still get good results searching PubMed? Yes. And that's because PubMed applies automatic term mapping. So whenever a search is executed, I can never pronounce that word. You can pronounce execute, executed. And it does the searching first by subject heading, again, using mesh. And if no match is found, then it breaks the phrase apart and searches all the different fields. Okay. So you can see here, for example, a search was done of smallpox vaccine. Well, smallpox vaccine is a mesh term. Okay. But aside from searching for it under the subject heading, it also breaks down the phrase into smallpox and vaccine and searches in all the different fields. And here also the phrase in all the fields. Okay. So how do you determine what terms PubMed used to implement your search, or how PubMed implemented your search, or how PubMed did the search? So let's go back to this again. When we did, okay, let's smallpox vaccine. So they determine how PubMed did the search. You look at the search details right there. Okay. The search detail box. And this is short enough, so you don't need to press see more, but if it's very long, then if you want to see more, then you can press see more right there. Okay, let's see what happens if, so we got 46,000 results here, 4677. If you put it in quotation marks, again, we expect it to decrease or increase. Expect it to decrease. And now it's down to 4,000. Okay. What happens if we look in the search details though? If you look in the search details, it just did it in the all fields now. Okay. So whereas before, it actually also found it using mesh search. When you put a quotation mark, it limited your search to all fields of the phrase. So it didn't break it into searching for vaccines in all fields and searching for smallpox in all fields. It just did smallpox vaccine all fields. And when you do your exercise, you can, depending on how you did your searching or whether you put the quotation marks or not, you can come up with different results, and most of the time those would be acceptable unless it's specified in the question. And we already saw the search details. And this is just an example when you search measles. And measles is a mesh term. So what it does is it searches first in the mesh database, okay, using the medical subject heading. And not all the articles, not all the publications would have been indexed under the medical subject heading. Not all the publications that having to do with measles will be indexed under the mesh term. So it also searches under all fields. Okay. And again, essentially, when it does this, it searches the whole PubMed database, not just the Medline database. Again, remember when we do a mesh search, it searches the Medline database. And again, with the mesh searching, and again, we're going to be talking more about this later on once we focus on mesh. If your word is, again, indexed under a subject heading, you don't necessarily have to type the exact mesh term, the exact subject heading. For example, drooling is not really a mesh term, okay? But it's indexed under cyalorrhea. And so cyalorrhea is also searched as a subject heading. But again, aside from searching for it in Medline, it also searches it in all the other parts of PubMed. Okay. And drooling is not a mesh term, so it's not searched under mesh, but it's also searched in all the other fields. And here's another example. So for example, head lice shampoo. And head lice shampoo is not a mesh term. So what it does, what the algorithm does is it chops off first, it removes first the rightmost word, okay, a string of characters, and it searches for the remaining ones. And head lice happens to be indexed under pediculus as a subject heading term. And aside from searching for pediculus, though, as a mesh term, pediculus, under all the remaining PubMed database, it also chops this phrase into head and lice, and again, shampoo. And so because it searches for all those different words separately in the database, you can expect that it will give you so many hits that you are not exactly interested in. So you can limit your search to mesh terms, and that's what we're gonna learn in the next lecture, is limiting your search to mesh terms. So what field again is in a database? Do you remember our relational tables? What's the field? The field is essentially the title of the columns, right? Like the name, address, courses taken, course numbers, and all that, right? And so in PubMed, what are the fields in the PubMed database though? So these are some of the fields in the PubMed database. So the field qualifiers, and some of them are easy enough to remember, like author, accession number, the journal name, the first four letters. The title is also the first 4 letters. Okay, and some of them are not that easy, like publication date might be, once you try to remember it. And so how do you specify the field then that you want to limit your search to? Okay, so the first part of the field is we just want to search within the particular field. For example, we just want to search the author. Search based on the author. Okay, so this is how you put it on the PubMed search bar. So you type your query term, and then you add your qualifier. And the qualifier is bracketed by this symbol here. What do you call this type of bracket? Is there any special term for this type of bracket? Because there's another kind of bracket which is like square.
The square one.
It's just square brackets.
Square brackets, did you say?
Yeah.
Okay, but it's enclosed in this type of bracket. So if you're searching, for example, for all papers written by Born, then you type the last name. And again, this is one thing you need to remember when you're searching by author name. You need to type first the last name. And most of the time, you really just want to use the first name initial. You don't want to use, you actually don't want to add the second or the middle name initial. Because there's a lot of search results that you might miss if you add this middle name initial. So for example, okay, let's do this. What results will we get if we search for cook? And what kinds of result number, what kinds of hits will we get? What number of hits will we get? 69,500. And we look at the it doesn't show the search details. Now if we put our field qualifier, our what author, $69,500, and now it's reduced to half, 31,000. And one thing that you will, here's the search detail. How come it started hiding? So one thing is, if you put a qualifier, then it turns off the automatic search mapping. So that's why you don't see mesh here. Okay, so it just searches in the author field because you specified the field. Did I just miss it earlier? What is that? Oh, here, search details. How come it's closing it now? So when I just type cook, look at how it did the search. First, it actually found that, well, cook is related to cooking, and cooking is a mesh term. So it did a mesh search first, okay? And then cooking is a related term, so it also searched all fields, and with cook, all fields. So take note of the difference when I did cook author and cook with no field qualifier. And so if we do title, and again, if we specify the field, then automatic search mapping is turned off. And search details now, again, you don't see all fields, you don't see mesh searching. It's just the field that you specified. And again, you've got a lower number. So again, you can limit the number of results depending on what you are really most interested in. Okay, to specify fields, there are actually many more fields. Where do we get to the other fields? We get to that by doing advanced searching, and advanced is right there. So if you click on that, then you have these different search boxes here. And here, this is a search builder. Let's say there, advanced search builder. And you can add as many fields as you want here. Okay, so what are the many different fields? Look at the different fields. There's also, some of the fields here are the same as the fields in the previous page on the left side of the previous page. Okay, so and again, if you do advanced search, that also turns off the automatic term mapping. That means it will not search first in the mesh subject heading. Okay. Okay, so here's an example. How many articles by J. Folkman on angiogenesis are there in the American Journal of Pathology? So what's our topic here? What's our main search topic? Angiogenesis. Okay. And we can just search for angiogenesis. It doesn't really specify to search for it in the title, right? So we're just gonna search it in the all fields to play it safe. Or you can search it as a text word if you want, okay? Because it's a text word. And then what fields are we supposed to apply here? So Folkman is what? An author. So we look for author here, and it does have this. It show up the list of Folkmans, and again when you type J, and again there are choices. There are many J's, but yeah, again if you specify the first name, then you will miss the other Folkman, and you might actually be more interested with these other guys. Sometimes if you know the first name of the author, you still don't want to use the first full name of the author in the search. Okay, because sometimes in the publication, it just uses the initial, the first name initial of the author. Okay, so to play it safe, just use the first name initial, not the full name. Okay, what else? Author, and this is the journal, and so what? American Journal Pathology. And down below is the journal. Okay. And so familiarize yourself with the different search fields that are found there, especially the more common ones. Language is also here. For clinical trials, the name of the investigator is here. ISBN from your book numbers, right? Well, you can also do your mesh specification here if you want to include mesh searching. The publication type, whether it's a review or not a review. Okay, so are we ready? Or did I show you that? Yeah, if you want to add another field, just press on this, right? And that's gonna add, that's gonna give you more fields. Actually, if you added a field here, just like what I did here, what it did is it automatically added another field. Okay. So you don't even need to press the plus sign to add another field. It automatically would show up. Okay, so we do our search. Okay, what's going on?
We need the alternate, the first letter, capital.
Oh,
Folkman, the letter F should be capital.
I still got
Folkman should be capitalized.
Yeah. Oh, it is an author name, so.
There are sometimes if you accidentally introduce a character, there Folkman J. Okay, and American Journal of Pathology. Did somebody else get a different search number?
I got 8.
You got 8? What did I do wrong?
We did
Genesis.
all fields instead of fancy word.
It's a journal, right?
Yeah, that's fine. It's the American Journal of Pathology. Actually,
Oh, it's
I
missing
clicked
the D.
on the it drop down menu had it as the American, so I just clicked on that.
Oh, okay, yeah, it's the American Journal of
Pathology.
Pathology.
That doesn't make a difference.
And actually, I want to point out that's a way for you to confirm that your search term may or may not be wrong. And if you click on the index list, you can see that there's no American Journal of Pathology. Thank you. And yeah, so if you do the index list, that show up the American Journal of Pathology. And there's your 8 results. Good. So what's the mistake here? This should really be a capital letter, right?
No, it didn't make a difference for me.
No, but I mean, when you write the sentence, because it's a title of a journal, then that means that should be because it's part of the journal title, then it should be capitalized. Okay. History. So where do we see the history? If you go back to advanced again, you probably already noticed it. There's this history. Again, you can clear your history, or you can delete some of your history. I wish I can delete some of my history. Okay. And if you click on this, the search number here, okay. Don't you wish sometimes that you can clear those things that you should not have said, but you said, and take it back? Okay, you can delete it from history, okay. Or you can add it to builder. Okay, so this time, if you want to add it to builder, let's say you want cook, then it gets added there. You want to add cook and smallpox, or you want this to be the author, well, we're gonna remove that, okay? We want cook the author if he authored anything that has anything to do with this smallpox, okay? We combine those and just search, and PubMed will do the search for you. Hey, there are articles by Cook on smallpox. So let's look at the advanced again. What else do we need here? Okay, so the number of the items found, the search results that were found. There's our 8. Some things to remember about the history. It will be lost after 8 hours of inactivity, just like your clipboard. Okay. So if you want to save it, you can download it, or save it in your NCBI again. And I already pointed that out to you. So if you want, instead of just adding, that's right. So let's just say, let's put back cook. Let's add this again, and then smallpox. And then we want to add AIDS, but we don't want it to be and. We want it to be or. Then we specify it here. Okay. On this part here is where you will find and or not. But instead of clicking all add there, clear. You can also just have, well, add cook first, and then add is easy enough there. So we're just gonna, and if we want it to be OR aids, then we click on that and then choose OR in builder. And it automatically puts OR on this builder. So again, just practice this, get comfortable using it. And because this is what you're gonna need to know in your exercise and what you're gonna need to know in your exam. And we already did that. We already did that. Related data. Okay, let's do our search. In here, you will find the related data. Okay, so if you want other topics which might be related to your HIT results in PubMed, then you can just choose PubMed here. Okay, and then find items, find similar articles in PubMed. Or you wanna find related proteins that are related to your publications. Then you choose proteins in the find related data, and the genes. If you wanna look for genes that are related to your topic, then you choose it in your find related data. It keeps on hiding. Did PubMed change it again? It looks like PubMed changed it again. A lot of this data, a lot of these programs keep evolving, keep changing. Okay, that's why a lot of times I have to watch out for what's on my slide. And usually when you do advanced, when you do specify the fields, then it's supposed to turn off automatic term mapping. Okay. So it's just gonna look in the fields that you specified. But if you look at the search details here, it looks like it did mesh.
Did you hit find items?
I'm sorry?
You hit find items already?
I'm sorry?
After you did the find related data, did you hit find items? Because your screen looked different.
No, I did not.
Oh,
Okay. So I'm gonna have to look at it again and see if I did something differently. Because yeah, this is still find related data database. Okay. Yes, they keep changing things in. They keep updating things in PubMed, and so. Similar articles. Yes, similar articles is right there if you wanna look for other articles similar to that particular article. Yes, if you know the exact information about the publication that you're looking for, you just want one hit or one result from your search that you're doing, you can put it all here. I never used this, the single citation matcher, but you find that in the PubMed homepage. So you just go to the PubMed homepage and there's your single citation matcher. Okay. Another thing that you can do in PubMed is truncation. Okay. And so if you want to look for terms that all begin with a certain string of letters, for example, cardio blank, cardiotherapy, cardiology, cardio, whatever. Okay, it says it only works if you put it at the end of your letters. And if you look at the search details, so 45,000. That's right. I'm just gonna do it here first. Oh, these are ready. That is Matty, by the way, our teaching assistant. So if you need help and she's in the mood to help, then. Okay, let's see more of how the search details were done when we use an asterisk. Okay, as you can see here, it's got a very long list of search terms that it did. Okay, cardio 2, cardio 3, whatever those are, cardio 4, cardio accelerants. There's even, if a foreign term, it starts with a cardio, it's also gonna show up there. Okay, it's also gonna search there. And cardioembryologist, it ends with cardioembryologist. So it doesn't even go to cardiology. Okay, so this is one thing to take note of here. Hand wash. Okay. So this is one thing to take note. When you use the asterisk, that's the wild card, it only uses the first 600 variations. Okay, and so that's why you don't see cardiology here. That means it didn't search for cardiology. So you have to watch out when you do that asterisk. There's no cardiomyopathy and okay, let's practice using here. Okay, let's practice using this word attack here. How many articles? Just the word attack. How many articles? Look at the details tab to see how PubMed conducted the search. Was automatic term mapping used? Add asterisk to the attack. Okay, let's do that. And on your exercise, this is the way you will present it on your exercise. You need to show how you did the search. So that means you need to put your query term. If you did advanced, that means you're gonna need to put all the terms that you put in the builder boxes there. And so what you can do is, this is one thing that they upgraded. So I used to use snip tool to capture a portion of the screen, but now they have this snip and sketch app that they're suggesting. And so I think you can do more with the snip and sketch in terms of adding artwork to yours. Yeah, that's why it's sketch, because you can sketch artwork there, draw hearts, whatever. I'm just gonna stick with my snipping tool first. See, it's suggesting snip and sketch, but I'm not gonna. So what you wanna do is, because you wanna show your search strategy, then you get a snip of that, and then you paste it on your exercise, and then you're supposed to show the results. So how many hits did you get? And so if this is too far from there, if they're together, then you can just get a snip of the whole thing. If not, you can just get a snip also of your search results, and then you can highlight the number of hits, and then put that in your answer. But the question is, was automatic term mapping used? So where will you find the answer to that question? Question was automatic term mapping used? Where will you find the answer to this? In the search details, and it just did all fields. Okay. So, to me, this is a tricky question. Was automatic term mapping used? I would say it probably did, but it didn't find anything in mesh. right? Because that's the first thing that it would do. Unless you put some qualifiers in there, then it wouldn't do automatic term mapping. Okay. Now, if we do if we do asterisk, if we add the asterisk, the wildcard, enter, and how much do we get? Okay, so again, you're gonna have to get a snip of that because that's how you did the search. And these are the results. And again, the explanation, you already know the explanation, right? Why did we get more number with attack? Because it just didn't search for attack. It also searched for all other terms that start with the characters, the letters attack. Okay. So there's your foreign word that starts with attack, attack and Bauer. Anybody speak German? This one I can pronounce, attack and combination. Okay. Anyway, that gives you an idea as to what happens when you put an asterisk after your series of letters here. Okay, so that's your, you can snip that. Why do you snip that? Because you use that as an explanation for why you get more results when you did attack asterisk. Okay, next one. Now we're gonna practice doing an advanced search. Advanced. How many papers in PubMed have the word attack in their title? That's an easy one. We don't have to go to this advanced search builder. Okay, let's just go back. So again, what's the qualifier? So what's the field that we are asked to limit our search to? Title. And again, that's just TITL. Right, easy enough to remember. And then we do our search. Is there any other field? Attack in their title. And again, look at this. So it didn't search all the fields. Okay, we already know there's no mesh term for attack. It didn't search all the fields. It's just limited to that particular field. Okay. So automatic term mapping was definitely not used because you don't see all fields. Okay. And how many papers in PubMed have the keyword bone in their titles? Again, it's just bone in the title. Okay. Now implement a logical combination of previous searches to get the titles of all papers that have attack in their title but do not have bone. So without going to advanced, how do we do that here? So we already have attack in the title. How do we do but do not have bone? Not, right? All caps again. Not bone in, and then we have to specify again title, right? So that would be article in their title, attack in their title, but do not have bone. Okay. Attack and bone in title, that means we're just gonna change these to N, right? Correct me if I'm making a mistake here. Now attack or bone in title, and again, we just changed our Boolean operator. So these are Boolean operators to or, right? And you can try this and try to find out how many results you can get. So which of these search strings do you think will give you the most number of hits? The last one, or, right? Because either one of them can be present. They don't both have to be present. So let's do another one. How many review articles in English can you find in PubMed? Okay, so do we already see filters there? First, okay, what's our topic? What's our main topic that we're looking for? It's really very long. Yeah, again, you can break up your search topics to you want to search the whole phrase, which is really not gonna give you a lot of hits, but you can try it. If it doesn't give you enough hits, you're not happy with the number of hits you get, then you break your search phrase in many different ways. Okay. For this, there are so many fields, many filters that I would just like to do advanced. Okay. And again, so for some of the exercise and exam questions, there could be multiple acceptable answers. Okay. Except if there's a field specified and you didn't specify that in your search, then you're gonna get a deduction. Okay. But for this, for example, we can. You can put this in quotation marks or not put it in quotation marks, and you're gonna see. Again, there's a difference when you put it in quotation marks. And again, just play with this. I'm just gonna cut and paste it. And yeah, combination drug therapy, try it without quotation mark. It's gonna give you a different search result. Treatment of epilepsy, we don't really need to write treatment. We can just write epilepsy probably. Yeah, that's one example where I say you can have several acceptable answers. You could have just type treatment of epilepsy, or you could just have type epilepsy, and it would be acceptable. Okay. Let's try treatment of epilepsy. And again, putting this in quotation marks and not in quotation mark would give different results. Okay. Okay, so that's our topic, combination drug therapy for the treatment of epilepsy. What filters do we apply now?
English.
Anyone?
Publication date.
Publication date, last 5 years, okay? So you wanted to, let's start with the beginning of the description. What field do you see there first? Oh no, that's the very start of the question. Sorry? Review articles, okay? That's a publication type. You can do that here, but remember, you can also do it in the result page, right? You can do a keyword search first and add the filters later on. Publication type, and let's just see if review is here. It's showing up automatically. I lost my mouse again. Sometimes my mouse crawls into the other screen. And it's still there. Ah, it is now. Show index list, and there's review right there. Okay, what's the next filter? I'm gonna hide now the index list. What's the next filter that you see there? Anyone? Language. The language, right? English. So it's language here. Language is here. So English. And again, just to confirm it, you can click on that and it's right there. And in PubMed, we already have that combination drug therapy for treatment of epilepsy in children less than 18. So what would that be? You already said it, right? Oh, did somebody say it? Children less than 18, so that would be what? That's the age, right? Do we see age here? There's really no age here, right? So that means we might have to do it once we get the results, right? And so what's another filter here? Published in the last 5 years. That's our PDAT, publication date. Publication date is it's the date here. Okay, publication date, and in the last 5 years to the present. We're just gonna put here 5 years would be what?
2014.
18, 17, 16, 15, 14. Okay, good. Let's look at the format again. Come on, show me the format.
Oh, yeah. Outside.
Okay, I think if you just type the year here, it would work as well.
Yeah, that works.
My numeric keypad doesn't seem to work. Okay, let's see if it works. No, it doesn't want it. Now I'm gonna have to go to the whole thing again. Yeah. And if you click add, take. Okay, search the whole thing again. All fields. I'm gonna delete that. Combination drug therapy. This is good practice though. Yeah, keep on making mistakes. So that way you're gonna get it perfectly.
It's good.
Next one, publication type. And page. Publication date. Didn't like my date. How come it didn't like my publication date? Let's see if we're gonna see something different or it's got something to do with all the other search terms. Did anybody else already do it? Last 5 years, 2014, 01, 01
Nope.
to the present.
Look,
It didn't work?
nope. I got 0. Wait, what?
Okay, how come I get 85? Did anybody else do it? Did you get the same thing? Yeah. You got the same thing? Okay. Again, and we did not specify the age yet, right? Remember, we still have to specify children less than 18. Well, in mine, this filter already shows, but in yours, if you didn't do it with me earlier, that means you still have to click on the show additional filters to make the ages appear. So the age that we wanted is to be child to 18 years. Okay. And that is now what we got. Did we miss anything else? English, combination, less than were published in the last 5 years. I think when I did this, I didn't put quotation mark on the combination drug therapy. I didn't. Did you then? Yeah. And the reason why I can tell is because the mesh term showed up here. Because if you put quotation marks, it actually does a different way of searching it. So, yeah, as long as you're able to show how you did it and the results that you found, really that's gonna be the most important. As long as you don't miss a field that is specified in the problem, then you should be fine. And let's start with mesh. Have 5 more minutes.
I have a question.
Oh, you have, okay, we have 5 minutes for questions.
The quotation mark that we use is to search for that specific term or without it?
For the specific phrase.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and in here, so take note of this. So we got 24 here. Okay, let's do it with the quotation. And it's probably the reason why you got 0 because of the quotation marks.
Yeah.
So it might be, yeah, if you put quotation marks because it's searching for the exact phrase, then the first time we did it, it gave 0 because of that. It may have nothing to do with the way I entered the date. And yeah, based on this, there's only 24 hit results. So if you try to limit it more with those quotation marks, then yeah. So yeah, so I guess we already saw the effect of using quotation marks, searching for phrases instead of, see, but what happened is because the search terms were not in quotation mark, what it did is it scrambled the terms, okay? And combination drug therapy is really indexed under mesh heading as drug therapy combination. So it's related to that subject heading, right? So it looked for terms under using mesh, okay? So again, if you put quotation marks, combination drug therapy, it wouldn't look for related terms. It will look for the exact same phrase. And I believe, okay, see more. And is there another mesh term here? And here also therapeutics. So with mesh, it looks for, it doesn't have to be the exact word, okay? Actually, even if you type a German word, if it's closely related, like sounds like an English word, then mesh will also pull it up. Okay. So that's the advantage with mesh. So if you're a bad speller, okay, then again, type it there and mesh should be able to sort things out for you. So epilepsy is another mesh term, therapeutics, mesh, and there you go. Even child is a mesh term. Adolescent, it seems so broad, but it is a mesh term. Okay, we're done for the day. Are you all done for the day? You want some more? Want some more mesh? Okay, again, Monday we do our first exercise, so I'll be here on time. And the mesh The next PowerPoint, the next lecture on mesh is already on Blackboard. I might still update that. But if you want to look over it, then feel free to do so. Don't have a good day. I mean,